Hello, so today we're going to talk about creating inclusive workplaces and how to embrace neurodiversity as well as promote positive mental health workplace cultures.
Hello there, my name is Adam Highland and I am a director and co-founder of Diversity and Ability. Diversity and Ability is a disabled-led social enterprise which supports organisations to create an inclusive workplace and supports individual disabled people to reach their potential. And I'm presenting today with my wonderful colleague Megan.
Hello. So we do many things at Diversity and Ability. Predominantly we do lots of assistive technology training and supporting neurodiversity both in education and in the workplace. In addition, we do workplace consultancy, culture change management and strategy coaching, as well as lots of CPD and webinars and workshops like this one here. We do some needs assessments, assistive tech training, specific strategy coaching, mentoring, and also social justice projects, which you'll see if you have a look at our website.
So in this webinar, we are going to be looking at finding a bit more about what neurodiversity is, give you some practical goals in how to create a more inclusive workplace, and hopefully by the end of it you'll feel more confident in making those next steps.
So we've got some facts here, and these facts are really important in understanding why we should look at neurodiversity and how it can affect our mental health within the workplace. On average, 1 in 4 people will experience a mental health problem in a year, which really highlights why this is so important to get right. For more information, have a look at our website or keep searching on the Disability Rights UK page.
So first of all, we're going to talk about disability. In particular, we're going to look at 3 different types of models of disability. And what we mean by models of disability is different angles and perspectives that society sees and defines what so-called disability is, and look at the impact that that can have on disabled people and mental health.
So first up, we have the medical model of disability. And this really is the model that your GPs and doctors and consultants will be thinking about when they approach disability. And this model really says that the problem is with the individual. So that individual presents and they are disabled by their own problems or by themselves. And the reason that they look at that way is because they need to see something that needs fixing or curing. And that just helps them to be able to provide the right support in that setting. Professionals will be identifying the impairment and its limitations and then working to make actions or changes. So maybe prescribing a medication or providing access to a certain therapy. And that's important in the medical model because it's how the medical system functions, but it's less useful when we look at how disability and disabled people can be supported in other environments.
The next model to look at is the social model of disability. And this model really changes the way that disability is looked at and perceived compared to the previous model, where the individual is diverse and has their own set of unique ways of working and unique needs and diversity, and it's actually society that causes disabling circumstances. It's society that disables people by not being inclusive enough. And the responsibility for removing these barriers is not with the individual, but it is with us as a wider society. And when we can break down and remove barriers, we can enable people to reach their potential.
The model that diversity and ability like to use is the celebratory model of disability. And this really takes the social model and says, yes, I see the wonderful merits that you've got, but we'd also like to start to value the individuals who have their own amazing skill sets too. So the celebratory model takes a person and says, yes, you are an amazing person. How can we make proactive adjustments to make sure that you're able to reach your full potential in any situation so that everybody is able to thrive? So what is mental health? Given that it's Mental Health Awareness Week, it's really important to be talking about this. So mental health is not just a diagnosis or a lack of diagnosis. It's a state of real well-being in which people are able to realise their own abilities, cope with the normal stresses of life, work productively and feel like they're being productive too, and actively contribute to their community, whether that's at home or in the workplace.
Disability and neurodiversity can bring so much to society and the workplace. The term neurodiversity is more of a newer term that more and more people are using in society to basically say and acknowledge that we all are diverse, we all think and learn and work in different ways. And actually, we need neurodiversity to thrive and succeed in a positive and productive society. And as I said a minute ago, the umbrella term for neurodiversity kind of encompasses all of these different medical diagnoses on the screen. But really, if we break down the word neurodiversity, all we're saying is neuro being the brain and mind, and diversity being different. And I guess the key takeaway point here is that everyone thinks and works and lives differently. So we don't need to get caught up in negative diagnosis all the time. We just have to celebrate everybody's neurodiversity.
There are many impacts that are associated with disablement, and getting this right as a culture is really, really important to make sure that exclusion is not occurring in your workplace, that negative attitudes aren't impacting your employees or your teams, to make sure that anxiety is not so present within your workforce as well, because with disablement comes anxiety and a whole host of predisposition towards other mental health concerns or problems. And it can encourage low self-esteem in individuals as well if there are disabling circumstances around them engaging in work. Not acknowledging mental health barriers in the workplace can highlight a lot of stigma, and this can create some tensions within the team that are really difficult to overcome. There's lots of loaded language and hidden barriers as well. When we take all of these together, there's often a lot of overlap, and this can cause something called intersectionality. And intersectionality means that there are lots of different things compounding together that can cause further disablement in your workplace. By removing barriers and making these anticipatory changes, rather than just adjusting when somebody reports something, we can then really make sure that everybody feels included. Every individual, whether or not they're reporting or disclosing something themselves, will have those barriers removed, and so will be able to access the workplace or their home life even better. This means that there's much more fairness and equal access to opportunities, and it also takes the onus away from the individual from having to report something themselves, which in itself can be a barrier to getting support. By making these anticipatory changes, we really create environments where people can feel safe, and this encourages great teamwork and a great sense of rapport between you and your team to provide further support should anything else be required.
Here on the screen, we can see a huge array of different inclusive technology that can be used to support neurodiversity and mental health. And there are many, many huge game-changing tools available in the workplace and at home for people to use. If anyone wants to find out more, then please do get in touch.
For written information, it's really important to keep things nice and accessible. So we can think about how inclusive your own language is and using different colour papers to make things more accessible from the get-go, rather than having to make reactive changes in the future. Recruitment is also really important. And by making recruitment really accessible, you can make sure that you are opening up your recruitment to the widest variety of candidates, making sure that you get the best person for the job. There are so many different inclusive recruitment strategies that you can use, and some of the examples are shown on the screen here.
So what else creates an inclusive culture? We at DNA believe that once we can get the culture right, we can really start to see the benefit of neurodiversity in the workplace. And when we have an inclusive culture, then employees that maybe do have neurodiversity will not be impacted as much with their mental health. So on the screen here are ideas of how we can create that inclusive culture to enable people to not just survive in the workplace, but thrive and have a good, positive well-being at the same time.
Cultural change is really important, and some of the differences that some of the problems that we looked at with not having these inclusive workplaces are listed on the left-hand side. And on the right, you can see this positive column, which is what happens in your workplace when we really embrace diversity and we make inclusion a big part of your agenda. We can normalise difference, increase confidence for everybody involved, improve well-being, crucially, and also create a sense of really authentic belonging.
Whilst we're currently in a strange and peculiar and challenging environment with COVID-19, now is really the time to work on creating these inclusive cultures in the workplace and making sure that we hold our staff and support their well-being. So when we do return to business as usual, not only do our employees feel valued and welcome back, but that our businesses return and thrive even more so. So now is the time to get inclusive practice right. It is a journey, and therefore, if you're keen to know more, please do get in touch with us. Our contact details are on the screen, and we'll be happy to help you on your journey.
Super. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do contact us or have a look at our website, www.diversityandability.com.